Guys, check your audio and video settings. Guys, please check your audio and video settings. Sorry, I'm a bit late today. Tomorrow onwards, your session starts by 9 only. Everyone, please respond. Guys, please respond. I'm not seeing anyone chat here. Are you there, guys? No one is responding. No one is responding. What's happening? Anything happened to chat box? Oh, there is a technical problem, it seems. Okay, now I'm getting messages. No problem. I think there is a technical problem. Fine. That's nice. Okay, let's focus and concentrate what we discussed in other day's class. Other day we discussed about what is OR mapping. Before that, we understood problems with the JDBC, and to solve some of those problems or all of those problems, we have to think about going for what is OR mapping. So let us try to understand what is OR mapping. Anyone missed first 2 classes, 3 classes? Yes. All those videos are there in Naresh IT YouTube channel. Please go and watch. All those videos are there in Naresh IT YouTube channel. Please go and watch. youtube.com/Naresh IT. In the home page itself, you can see those videos. Hibernate session 4 today going on. Okay. This is session 3 with the green color. You can see all of them. If you scroll more and more, you will get old videos also. So in the home page itself, they are available. Anyhow, I will prepare playlist. In the playlist also, you can watch them. Not an issue. Okay, boss. Everyday content I am going to share with you in the middle of the course. Once your initial formalities are over, necessary PDF documents will be okay. Necessary PDF documents will be given. Not a problem at all. Okay, right, fine. Yeah, chat box is now working. Not a issue. Come back. Everyone, please come back. What is OR mapping? One line answer is it's all about linking or mapping classes with the database table. But elaborated answer is the process of mapping Java classes with the database tables, member variables with the Java class, member variables of Java classes with what? Columns of DB tables, and representing the records of DB tables with objects of Java classes having synchronization between them is called OR mapping. What do you mean by synchronization? If you modify objects, it will reflect to table rows. If you modify table rows, they can be reflected back to the objects. I have taken one class with how many properties? 4 properties. I have taken one table with how many columns? 4 columns. Are you getting my point there? Yes. Okay. Right. So here 4 properties for this one. See here, class is mapped with the table. Properties are mapped with the table columns, where either through XML file or annotation, this process is called OR mapping configuration. Initially, they have done with XML file. Now they are doing with what? Annotations. Okay. Due to this, what is the advantage? So whenever objects are created for Java class through Hibernate or through any ORM framework, it can be any ORM framework. Okay. Like Hibernate, these objects can represent DB table rows. These objects can represent DB table rows. So the modification done in objects will reflect to table rows. The modification done in table rows will reflect to object. This is called synchronization. What's the advantage, sir? So everything we can do through objects. All persistence operations we can perform through objects. Every persistence activity we can perform with what? Objects. Are you getting my point there or not? Fine. So how, sir? I want to insert a new record. If it is JDBC, I should write plain JDBC code to insert the record by writing SQL query. But here, no need of writing SQL query. Create a new object for student class, fill up with the data, and give that object to what? Hibernate, any ORM framework, Hibernate. Ask Hibernate to insert the record. It's a headache of Hibernate to read that object data, to generate JDBC code plus insert query to insert the record into the table, to insert the record. As a developer, he will think that he created object, filled up data in the object, given to framework to insert the record. That's it. Given to framework to insert the record. So he's in the feeling he is working with object only. He never worried about what framework will do internally. He never worries about what framework is doing internally. Are you getting my point there? Fine. Suppose you want to update the record. He update the object. Anyhow, modification done in object will reflect to what? Table row. So indirectly, is not working with update query, is just updating object. You want to read the record. He will just read object data. Indirectly is getting record. He is not writing select query. By reading object data, he is in the feeling he is writing select operation. He want to delete the record. Okay. Give the object to Hibernate and ask to delete. Okay. Hibernate will not delete the object. Hibernate will delete the record represented by object. Okay. In whole process, no queries, everything happening on object. Since objects are same in all database software, come on. Okay. We can have different name, same name or different name, no problem. You have to map. Mr. Summer, you are not observing properly. See, I have taken different names only. Then I have to map. Either using XML file or annotation. Don't lose your observation, boss. I have taken different only. Same or different, you have to map. If it okay, same or different, you have to map. Map will take care of that. Fine. Okay, boss. So in OR mapping, these objects will act as actors. These objects will act as what? Actors. How can you say these are actors, boss? Any one object can be used for insert operation, update operation, delete operation, and select operation. And one object first can be used for insert. Once that work is over, same object can be used for update, same object can be used for delete, same object can be used for select operation. Maybe before delete only you have to do select. That's a different story. That's the reason I compared with what? Actors playing characters. Listen, in our movies also, heroes will play the characters. Heroes will play the characters. In each movie, one character. In one movie, college going student. Another movie, rebel star. In another movie, Chichora. In another movie, what is that? Bank thief, bank robber. Okay, all these are the characters here. Movie to movie will change his character, but person is only one thing. Here also, object is only one thing. First, it is used for insert operation. Next, it is used for update operation. Then delete, then select. Or first delete, then select, whatever it is. That's the reason I said, when you say delete record using object, okay, ORM framework does not delete the object, it deletes the record represented by the object. Tell me as how actor can play different characters. Similarly, objects of what? Objects of what? Entity class. Objects of entity class can play different characters like what? Insert, update, delete, select operation. Insert, update, delete, select operation to perform various persistence operation. Are you understanding my statement there or not there? Super, boss. Right. Who will take care of synchronization between objects and table rows? OR mapping. OR mapping. OR mapping will take care of what? Synchronization. That's why if I do modification in object, it will reflect to table row. If I do modification in table row, it will reflect to what? Object. Right. In OR mapping, terminologies are different, boss. Since everything we are doing on object, saving object does not mean we are really putting object into the table. No. Saving object means writing object data to the table as a record. Updating object means, okay, okay, what is that? Modification done in object reflects to the table. Loading object means loading the record into the object. Deleting object means deleting the record represented by the object. Are you getting my point? In the market, we have a lot of ORM technologies, ORM tools, ORM frameworks. So these many are there. EasyB entity beans, Hibernate, Ibatis, Eclipse Link, OJB, OpenJPA, and many things are there. YouTube live started already. Please. YouTube live started already. Everyone, please try to concentrate here. So market leader is Hibernate. Hibernate. 95% of OR mapping persistence logic happens in Hibernate. That much popular. After that, little popularity is there for Eclipse Link. After that, little popularity is there for what? IBTs. Sir, I heard JPA is also popular. Sorry, JPA is not popular because JPA is a technology that provides set of rules and guidelines to create OR mapping softwares, to create OR mapping tools, to create OR mapping frameworks. Some part of industry calls Hibernate as a tool, some part of industry call Hibernate is a framework. Both are correct, both are never-ending discussions. Don't worry. Okay. Okay, boss. So all these ORM frameworks are created based on rules and guidelines of JPA technology. JPA technology. Are you getting my point? So that moving from one ORM framework to another ORM framework becomes easy. When all Java faculties are teaching their Java course based on common course brochure, okay, learning Java course from any faculty will be the same because all are teaching Java based on what? Same course brochure. Similarly, all these ORM frameworks are developed based on common rules and guidelines that are there in what? JPA specification. But one interesting fact I want to tell. Before arrival of JPA specification, only Hibernate is released. I will tell. Very interesting. Very interesting. Hibernate is released and done well. By seeing Hibernate, IBTs came. By seeing IBTs, OJB came. Then Sun Microsystem realized, we are losing control on these OR mapping frameworks. We are losing control on these OR mapping softwares. If everyone develop their OR mapping in their own style, it will be a problem for the people to switch from one ORM framework coding to another ORM framework coding. Then they come up with the JPA. Saying that all ORM framework software happened now onwards. Okay. So every ORM framework should follow rules and guidelines that are there in what? JPA specification. And that's why while creating JPA specification, they kept only those rules and guidelines which are maximum there in Hibernate. Okay. Why? Because they inspired from Hibernate and they prepared JPA. But now not like that. JPA is coming with their own rules and guidelines, and Hibernate has to follow. I'm talking about initial days of JPA release. Initial days of JPA release. It's something like this. Listen carefully. Before arrival of RBI, let us assume small banks are there. Okay, by seeing small bank, big banks have come. Then government realized I should have a control, regularity. Okay, some regulatory authority, all these banks. I need to some control. I need to have some control on all these banks. Then they created RBI. Then they created what? RBI. Okay, same thing happened. Earlier in India, we used to have only BSNL offering telecom services. That time, no regulatory authority. Later, government allowed private sector people to do business in that sector. Then Airtel came, Vodafone came, X came, Y came, Z came. So competition is increased and wrong business practices are happening. They are looting the customers. They are cheating the customers. Then government realized, oh, there should be one governing body. There should be one regulatory authority on the top of what? All these telecommunication companies. All these telecommunication companies. And in that process, they have come up with called TROI. What is that? TROI. Telephone Regulatory Authority of India. Okay. First Airtel BSNL came, later TRI came. Later TRI came. The same thing here also. Fine, boss. So I heard I'm telling personally, I heard Hibernate word first, then JPA word later. Because I was there in the market when Hibernate is released. So first I heard Hibernate, later after few years I heard about what? JPA. Anyhow, we are learning Hibernate with JPA or JPA with Hibernate. That's not an issue at all. So we are going to learn both angles. Fine. So we don't directly learn JPA by choosing one or other ORM framework. By indirectly we are learning JPA. Indirectly we are learning JPA. Everyone thoroughly understood my point? I know. Everyone eagerly waiting for this discussion. What is this? When to use JDBC and when to use Hibernate. I'm preparing background to launch my application development. I'm just giving some conceptual points. I think I don't want to highlight Hibernate, ORM frameworks. ORM frameworks are tool. No doubt. In that one, Hibernate is market leader. So though I have given generic word here, everyone thinks about Hibernate only. Okay, na? Right. Mr. Ajay M, what exactly server means? I can answer your question, but at the end I will answer your question. Please don't deviate from the discussions. Please don't deviate from the discussions. Please. Because if I start answering your individual questions, it's never looks like a session. It looks like a one-to-one FAQs. I will take your question. I will answer your question. Okay. I'll answer question at the end. I will talk. Java Persistence API. Java Persistence API. JPA means Java Persistence API. Listen, when to use JDBC, when to use Hibernate in our application development. Simply in our application development. Okay, someone asked for font. I will increase the font. Don't worry. Let's come. Let's come. Very, very important. Today you will get clarity when to use which. When to use which one to develop the persistence logic. I am not here to develop entire project. I want to talk what to be used in which situation, especially to develop persistence logic. Especially to develop the persistence logic. Is that clear? Right. Let's concentrate. Let us concentrate. Okay, boss. There are two types of applications here. First, we'll try to understand offline application. The application that runs without human intervention. The application that runs without human intervention. Offline application. Don't think offline online classes. Think about offline. Next, online application without human intervention or end user interaction. Or end user interaction. End user interaction. Fine. Next, what we are having, online application. Online application. Okay. Array offline online application can be standalone or web application or XYZ. But human interaction will not be there. Human interaction will not be there. Such applications are called offline application. Generally, offline applications are standalone applications. Is that clear? Generally, offline applications are but we cannot say every standalone application is what? Offline application. Fine. The application that runs with human interaction or with end user interaction is called online application. Fine. Now listen carefully. Sir, we are posting everyday's content. We are posting everyday's content in the Facebook group. Number one, sharing classroom applications in the Git. Number two, and whenever necessary, I am sharing necessary PDF documents. Number three. Okay, now tell me, to practice, what else you need? First time you asked this question, I ignored and I have replied also. Again, you are putting the question, again I am replying. Tell me, I am sharing classroom content every day. I am sharing classroom applications. Okay. And whenever necessary, I am giving books also. Then what is need of books? When I am giving entire content to you people, what is need of books? First, come out of the psychological feeling, Mr. Milind. You need what I talked in the classroom. I am sharing with you people. Whenever necessary is there, I am sharing PDF documents also. What else you need? Please, boss, please focus in the content. Don't divert your mind here and there. It's my humble request. Please keep this kind of non-technical question towards end. Don't disturb the flow in the middle. Fine, boss. Let's come back to the class discussion. Very important FAQ. You should have a lot of clarity. Okay, fine. Right. Offline application, online application. It will be decided whether end user is interaction with the application or not. Without end user interaction, application is running offline. With end user interaction, application is running. Then it is called what? Online. So now let me talk about one offline application first. One offline application first. Okay, recollect your childhood days. Census application you observe. Example is census application. Array, don't worry about population count. For every 10 years in India, it will take place, right? 2011 it happened, and 2021 again it is going to happen. And you don't believe, one separate ministry is there for this. That much big process it is. Okay. Okay, we may not beat China in other aspects, but one day we will beat China in this aspect. Already we are 135 crore. One day we will meet China also. Don't worry about it. Fine. Why it is happening? In India, we still feel that giving birth to kids is Bhagavan ka prasad. We don't feel that is our responsibility. We feel that Bhagavan ka prasad, right? So as long as this mindset is there, as long as this mindset is there, no one can control India population, because we don't have self restriction. So we feel that it is Bhagavan ka diya hua prasad, right? Fine. And son priority. For the sake of getting son, people will give birth to more and more people. So the son phobia also there, right? Mm. Yes. Shall we get into the discussions? Mm. Census application, population count. What is this population? What actually happens? What actually happens? School teacher comes to, what is this? School teacher comes to our home, gathers details on paper, and we will tell full lies to him. Remember, na? We will tell full lies. He will ask how many two-wheelers are there. We'll say 0. In front of our home, 10 two-wheelers are already parked. How many ACs you are having? We'll say no. Actually, that fellow already enjoying AC, because we feel that if we tell the truth, we will take them from us, right? So that's why we'll tell all wrong information. Don't do that time. Next time onward, try to give the correct one. Okay, fine. Gathers details on paper, submits to. Okay, na? Right. Submits to mandal. I think in Telugu states, mandals are there, or taluka. Submits to taluka headquarters. That's nice. Okay. Data entry operators, DEOs, converts the info to Excel sheets. Sheets are uploaded to central government application. Yes, this central government application takes Excel sheets which are uploaded, takes the Excel sheets that are uploaded, will validate them. Come on. Validate, corrects them. Wherever corrections are there, they will correct them. Categorize them. Validates them, corrects them, categorize them. Okay. And stores into Oracle, okay, database software. Stores into database software. This is the process. Tell me, this process will complete in 1 month? This process will take 1 year. 1 year to 2 years process also it will take. Why? So many villages, so many mandals, so many districts, so much information. Come on. So much information. So many Excel sheets will be uploaded. So the central government application should take each Excel sheet on its own. No human intervention, nothing. How, sir? Central government application is running on so and so machine, and we all upload all Excel sheet to certain folder. Okay, in that folder, come on, one by one it will take, one by one it will validate the data, it will correct the data, it will categorize the data. Whatever results are generated, we will store them in database software. Whatever results are generated, we store them in database software. Tell me boss, the application that is there in Delhi as a central government application will run for 1-2 years continuously. Are you understanding my point? 1-2 years continuously without any human intervention. Come on, continuously takes the Excel sheets, continuously validates them, continuously corrects them, continuously categorize them, continuously writes to database software. Don't you think it is looking like an offline application? Don't you think it is looking like an offline application? Are you understanding my point there? It is dealing with a huge amount of data. Don't you think it is looking like an offline application? Are you understanding my point there? Super. Sir, what do you mean by online application? Everything, every website is online application. Flipkart.com, lot of human intervention will be there. Okay, next one. Amazon.com, lot of human intervention will be there, and etc. nareshit.com, nareshit.com, and etc. Lot of human intervention will be there. End user will definitely interact with the application. Understanding my point there or not? We should click, we should submit, something we have to do there. Something we have to do there. Fine. Now listen. For example, you take this census application. I used JDBC there. Not JDBC. I used Hibernate. I used Hibernate for this developing this entire environment. Okay, let us assume in each Excel sheet, 10,000 records are there. To read those 10,000 records, to store them into Oracle database software, if I use Hibernate kind of ORM framework, okay, for each record, one object. Because I said now, one record, one object, 100 record, 100 object, 200 record, 200 object, 1,000 records, 1,000 objects. Are you getting my point? 4,000 records means 4,000 objects. Now tell me what happens if I use Hibernate kind of ORM framework. If I use Hibernate kind of ORM framework for processing 10,000 record, how many objects will be created? 10,000 objects will be created. 10,000 objects at a time in the JVM memory of the RAM. If RAM size is good, it will bear. If RAM size is not good, it will crash or not there. It will crash or not there. Okay, boss. System will hang up. System will crash. Project will crash. Application will crash. Are you getting my point? It will collapse. It will collapse. Why? Because to process each record one separate object. In Java, object creation is a costly affair. We should reduce object creation. We should not increase object creation. Are you understanding my point there? So what is your conclusion, sir? In that situation, while processing huge amount of data that comes batch by batch, okay, if you have, while processing chunks of amount of data that comes batch by batch, if you use Hibernate kind of ORM framework to represent batch of records, we need batch of objects. Creating batch of objects at a time will definitely crash the system, will definitely crash the software. So that's why Hibernate is not good in that situation. ORM framework is not at all good in that situation. Everyone convinced with me? Right. Sir, I will use JDBC there. Good. Because you select any number of records, you will get only one object, that is result set object. In one object only 10,000 records will be retrieved here. Now tell me, creating one object storing 10,000 records is good thought. Creating 10,000 objects for 10,000 records is good thought. As memory issues are there, means one object storing 10,000 records is good thought or not? Are you understanding my point there? So in that situation, JDBC good, Hibernate good. JDBC is good. JDBC good, ORM framework is good. JDBC is good. So final conclusion, offline or online application. Sir, in offline or online also use amount of data comes up. Who says? May come. May come. Suppose you take flipkart.com. MI people released one mobile. MI people released mobile. Only online sale first 3 hours. Online sale only 3 hours. Price is 2000 only, but great features are there. Tell me, one per one, less people will try to purchase that mobile, or lots of people will try to purchase that mobile. Lots of people will try to purchase that mobile. So online application, but still there is a chance of getting huge amount of data or not. So lots of people trying to purchase means lots of customer details should be inserted into table as records or not. So lots of people trying to insert record means if Hibernate is used, lots of objects will be created or not. At that time, Hibernate is better, JDBC better. JDBC better. So final conclusion, offline application or online application. If application is getting huge amount of data batch by batch for processing, then prefer using JDBC, not Hibernate. Prefer using JDBC, not ORM framework. Because in JDBC, multiple records can be handled by using single result set object. In Hibernate, to handle multiple records, we need to have multiple objects. If more and more objects are created, system may crash. System may crash. Are you understanding my point there? You use design pattern, you don't use design pattern. Pawan Sharma, okay, in whatever you do, basic nature you cannot change. What is that? One object, one record. That nature of Hibernate you cannot change. Someone is asking me, sir, in Hibernate I will use that design pattern, this design pattern, I will reduce number of object creation. Sorry, you cannot say, change it, because that is a basic nature of what? Any ORM framework. One object, one record is basic nature of that one. Sir, I enjoyed it. Sir, in that situation, if we can use JDBC, when less number of records are there, like online application like nareshit.com, or offline application, school application, or whatever it is, okay. Sir, that time also JDBC can be used. Now, why Hibernate? If I use JDBC, what is the problem? I cannot develop my persistence logic as database software independent. I cannot enjoy abstraction. I cannot enjoy. Are you understanding my point there? Time stamping feature, versioning feature. I cannot enjoy caching feature. Are you understanding my statements there or not there? So I don't want to lose those features. I don't want to lose those features. Then when should I use Hibernate, sir? Online or offline application, if there is a need of dealing with less amount of data, like 10 records at a time, 15 records at a time, 100 records at a time, then prefer using what? Hibernate, nothing but OR mapping software. Nothing but Hibernate. Okay. I think you got a clarity now. Some people unnecessarily use this kind of thought. Offline application, JDBC, online application, Hibernate. I don't agree for that. Online or offline, huge amount of data, JDBC. Offline or online, less amount of data to process, then prefer using what? Hibernate. I think crystal clear clarity I have given. Come on. But less amount of data at a time. Not all together. At a time, less amount of data. At a time, there is a huge amount of data to process. Then go for what? JDBC. Then go for what? JDBC. Fine. Right. Let's see. Okay, boss. Online or offline application? Online or offline application? Okay, online or offline application. Listen. Okay, one question is coming. Listen carefully. Okay. one question is coming. What is that question? Sir, we have a big data frameworks na, like Hadoop. Huge amount of data, go for it. Array, big data not for huge amount of data. Big data is for a huge amount of data that is beyond processing and storing capacity. That is beyond processing and storing capacity. That cannot be stored in what? One computer, one database. That much data. That means more than huge. More than huge. Then only think about Hadoop. Then only think about Hadoop. Less amount of data, Hibernate or database software. Come on. Okay, huge amount of data and database software. Go for JDBC. Huge amount of data that is beyond storing capacity. Beyond what is that? Beyond storing capacity. Beyond what processing capacity. Then think about what is that. Then think about Hadoop. Otherwise, don't go for Hadoop. Fine. So first let me write some conclusion, then I will take some questions from you. Okay, online or offline applications, okay, when they are getting huge amount of data batch by batch for processing, then use JDBC because it creates single result set object to maintain huge amount of records. Huge amount of records. Huge amount of records. To maintain huge amount of records. Right. YouTube data, Google data, all these are what? Big data. Please. YouTube data, Google data, all these are what? Good data. Are you understanding my point there? Yes. Result set object to maintain huge amount of data. Okay. If we use Hibernate here, okay, here, more objects will be created, not more, huge objects. Huge number of objects will be created. To represent and process huge amount of records. To represent process huge amount of records. Then project may crash. Project may crash. Example, census application, Flipkart application. There's a possibility of getting huge amount of data. Fine, boss. Online or offline applications. Okay, if you are getting little amount of data to process. Process at a time. Then go for Hibernate. Okay, go for a Hibernate ORM framework. Because to represent small amount of records, okay, small number of objects are enough. All number of objects are sufficient. Sufficient. Moreover, we can take benefit of other features, of ORM framework, like like database portability, database portability, hmm, database portability, timestamping, versioning, caching. I will explain all the things and etc. Okay, boss. Naresh IT is not getting huge amount of data. Go for what? nareshit.com. Definitely, it is getting little amount of data. Industry uses both JDBC and Hibernate. Anyhow, Hibernate also internally uses what? JDBC. Hibernate also internally uses JDBC. So you cannot say JDBC outdated. Yes, it cannot. You cannot say Hibernate is JDBC is outdated. I never agree that. Okay. YouTube, data, Google data, Facebook data, and etc. are big data. They are beyond storing and processing capacity of database software. So go for big data frameworks. Go for big data frameworks like Hadoop, Spark. Right. Hadoop and what? Spark. I think everyone understood this conclusion very much thoroughly. I hope you understood this conclusion nicely. So let us feel he is the user. He is the user. He is the user. Someone is thinking very intelligently. Sir, anyhow, garbage collection is there now. What's your problem? Array, 1 lakh records came at a time for processing. First of all, 1 lakh objects has to be created. Na? At least for 10 seconds, 1 lakh objects should be created at a time. 1 lakh objects should be used at a time. Then garbage collection. But first of all, there should be environment to create 1 lakh objects at a time or not. If that environment is not there, so what's the use of garbage collection? Come on. Are you understanding my statement there or not there? Super. See, boss, companies will use both, boss. Companies will use both. We cannot say companies will use what? Only this, only that. Companies will use both. As I said, huge amount of data, go for what? JDBC. Less amount of data, go for what? Hibernate. I mean to say ORM framework. You cannot decide companies are using Hibernate. Though it is Hibernate class, I don't want to misguide you. Oh, Hibernate is great, JDBC is bad. I'm not here to give that statement. Because without JDBC, there is no Hibernate, there is no Spring JDBC, there is no Spring ORM. Are you understanding my point there? Fine. And whatever you do flushing X, Y, Z, but at a time more objects are required. And if that more objects count is what? 1,50,000 like this, there is a possibility of getting crash. Are you getting my point there? Fine. See, more tables are, less tables are, that does not matter. In a given situation, are you dealing with a huge amount of data or less amount of data? At a time, are you dealing with a huge amount of record, less amount of record? Huge amount of records. So go for what? JDBC. Less amount of record. Go for what? This one. If needed in one project, in certain situation, you can use JDBC. In certain situation, we can use what? Hibernate. In one project, are you getting my point there? In one project, I can think about using JDBC, Hibernate. So you can use both in one project also, not a issue. Okay. Everyone, please come back. Accept the fact. Don't rotate your brain. Accept the fact. I know you joined the Hibernate course by assuming JDBC is outdated. You are not accepting it, but you have to accept it. I don't agree. You ask any number of questions, you try to rotate my brain. I am not going to change my statement because I am telling out of my experience. I am not telling out of my book knowledge. Fine. Still, there are people working on JDBC. Still, there are people working on Spring JDBC. If you don't believe, first believe it. Then automatically you will accept it. Okay. User or programmer. User or programmer. User or programmer works with Hibernate. ORM framework. Hibernate. Array, I will tell so many new things, Ra Babu, please. If I tell only those things what you know already, why you choose me? I'm here to surprise you every day. Otherwise, what's the use of my experience and my knowledge? Fine, boss. ORM framework, Hibernate. Here is my. I know some faculties will give the feeling no more JDBC, everywhere Hibernate. That's wrong. That's wrong. Are you getting my point there? Fine. Okay. Sir, more requests coming. That is not an issue. Mr. Rahul, let me take your question. Everyone, please look at his question. Everyone, more requests coming, sir. Then I can use Hibernate or not. More requests is not the issue. More requests at a time is the issue. Morning to evening, 1 lakh requests, no issue. In a given minute, 1 lakh requests, issue. Are you understanding my point? In a given minute, 1 lakh requests, that is the issue. Morning to evening, 1 lakh requests, not a issue. Still, you have a freedom to use Hibernate there. In a given minute, 1 lakh requests, don't use Hibernate. I hope you got a clarity. Still small scale projects of Java uses Servlet JSP directly. They don't prefer using frameworks. Yes, in JDBC I have a problems, but still we have to prefer using JDBC only. Still we have to prefer using JDBC only because Hibernate is having some limitations. I'm not saying JDBC having problems, but compared to system crash, handling problems is easy. Boilerplate code, checked exception, all these are developer issues, not the company issues. Are you understanding my point there? All these are developer issues. Developer has to bear the problems. Developer has to bear the problems. Are you understand? A single object creation with huge number of records needs less memory, leads less CPU time compared to creating more objects for more records. Think logically. JDBC creating only one object with huge number of records. Fine. I will come to that. Yes. Stop putting questions. Concentrate here. Let me go further. Yes. This will use JDBC. Yes. And this JDBC technology. This is a technology. And this will make you to talk with the database software. This will make you to talk with the database software. I will give clarity to everyone. Concentrate. This is our database software. Fine. Developer or end user. Basically, let me highlight. This is our Spring ORM. Spring ORM. Or this is our Spring data. These are Spring modules. Spring modules, boss, not framework. Spring modules. These are what? Spring modules. Nice. They will use one or other framework internally. They use one or other framework internally. ORM framework. Like they got a capability of using what? Hibernate, IBTs, OJB, etc. OJB, etc. So here is my JDBC. Here is my JDBC. Fine. Here is my JDBC. Array Flipkart is using both JDBC and Spring JDBC and Spring ORM, not directly JDBC, not directly Hibernate. Flipkart is using Spring JDBC and Spring ORM. So indirectly using JDBC, indirectly using Hibernate. In few modules, it is using JDBC. In few modules, it is taking the support of Hibernate. But not directly, it is developed based on Spring Boss. Okay. This is the story, boss. Spring ORM or data internally uses ORM framework. ORM framework internally uses JDBC technology, and they will talk with the database software. They will talk with the database software. Okay, boss. Now listen, I'm going to give some conclusions. I'm going to give some conclusion. Instead of using plain Hibernate, prefer using Spring JDBC. Instead of using plain Hibernate, prefer using Spring JDBC. Okay, that still allows to us to develop SQL queries based database software dependent persistence logic, but avoids boilerplate code. Avoids boilerplate code. It is not like Hibernate avoiding boilerplate code. It is not like Hibernate internally using what? Plain JDBC and making us to work with object-based persistence logic. Spring JDBC still makes you to work with SQL queries based JDBC style persistence logic. Only the advantage avoids the boilerplate code. So point number one, what is that? Instead of using plain JDBC, prefer using what? Spring JDBC and develop JDBC style SQL queries based database software dependent persistence logic by avoiding boilerplate code. Number one. Next, number two. Okay, number two. Instead of using plain ORM framework like Hibernate, IBTs directly, prefer using Spring ORM. Spring ORM to enjoy the abstraction, to avoid the boilerplate code. In Hibernate programming also little bit boilerplate code is there. To avoid that and to enjoy the abstraction, prefer using Spring ORM. Sir, then I will learn Spring ORM, I won't learn Hibernate. As I said, if you want to enjoy Spring ORM, you should have a strong knowledge of Hibernate. Without having Hibernate knowledge, you cannot enjoy Spring ORM. But listen carefully, Spring JDBC avoids JDBC related boilerplate code. Still, we should write specific logics. Spring ORM avoids ORM framework, Hibernate related boilerplate code. Still, we should write specific logics. Then Spring data comes into picture, boss. Spring data comes into picture. It says, I will generate both common logic and specific logics. Common logics and specific logics. You need not to write even specific logics also. That's the reason people are crazy about Spring data. But if you want to enjoy Spring data completely, again Hibernate and JDBC knowledge is required. It's a magical means magical. It's a magical means magical. Why it is given? Suppose I have, listen. I have 500 tables in the project. On every table, let us assume I am doing insert, update, delete, select operation. That means in every table, for every table, I should write insert logic, update logic, delete logic, select logic. Instead of me writing these common persistence logics, are you understanding my point there? Okay. Instead of me writing these common persistence logic, which are specific logics only, okay, Spring data itself will generate. I'll tell one small example, boss. You'll understand in a much better manner. Okay. Washing clothes on your own is like plain JDBs. Washing clothes on your own is like what? Plain JDBC. Okay. Working with Spring JDBC, Hibernate is like washing clothes by using semi-automated washing machine. Semi-automated washing machine. Something you have to do, something machine will do. Semi-automated. Okay. Working with the Spring data is like fully automated washing machine. Nothing you do, switch on the system, switch on the machine, put the clothes, and go and watch the TV. Go and watch the TV. But to enjoy Spring data, to enjoy Spring ORM, first of all, you should have plain ORM framework knowledge is required. And that is what we are going to learn in Hibernate. I think today onwards, you are going to move your head with clarity whenever there is a need of talking with persistence logic. Yes, I will give some diagrammatic representations also. Right. I will talk about that. Yes, Spring data also follow JPA specification, but it is not ORM framework. That also internally should use one or other ORM framework to generate both common logics and specific logic. Both common logics and specific logic dynamically. Understanding my point there? Super. Okay. Instead of using conclusion, instead of using plain JDBC. I think you are understanding what do you mean by plain JDBC? Yes, Spring data is part of our Spring course. Don't worry. We are going to learn Spring course in a better manner. Okay, na? Don't worry. Fine. Instead of using plain JDBC, prefer using Spring JDBC that allows us to develop JDBC style SQL queries based database software dependent persistence logic by avoiding boilerplate code of JDBC. Okay, boss. Boilerplate code of JDBC. This is a point one. Instead of using plain ORM frameworks or tools, okay, like Hibernate, prefer using Spring ORM. To develop objects based database software independent, database software independent persistence logic without SQL queries. Without SQL queries. Without SQL queries. This also avoids boilerplate code. Boilerplate code related to plain ORM framework. Plain ORM framework programming. But before you come to one conclusion, Spring JDBC needs plain JDBC knowledge. Without plain JDBC knowledge, you cannot enjoy Spring JDBC. Don't come to one wrong conclusion. Oh, I don't learn JDBC, I will directly enjoy. Spring ORM needs plain ORM tool or framework knowledge. Yes. Okay. Array companies prefer Hibernate, not directly, through Spring ORM only, But in the interview, they will check knowledge of Hibernate because then only you can use them in the ORM. Spring ORM needs plain ORM or framework knowledge. Framework like Hibernate knowledge, because Hibernate is the market leader. I know these are the so many questions that are eating your brain. I think today you are getting clarity on all of them. Come on. Today's session is theory or useful concept? Okay, boss. Instead of using Spring JDBC, Spring ORM, use Spring data. Use what? Spring data, which will take care of both common logics, nothing but boilerplate code. Boilerplate code. And okay, regularly used application specific logics. Regularly used application specific logics. Nothing but okay, CURD operations, persistence logics. CURD operations, persistence logic. Are you understanding my point? Yes. Array, why Spring has given these many modules to work with the database? Different generation, different things, Ra Babu. Come on. Okay. Different generations, different things. Some projects needs JDBC. Go for Spring JDBC. Some projects needs Hibernate. Go for Spring ORM. Spring data is relatively new. Let me complete. You will get more clarity. Don't question. See, boss. Please accept it. I know you are not accepting. That's why these many questions are coming. I am not here to answer the things what you expect. I will answer what I know, what I have experienced, what I have analyzed. If you cannot accept it, you cannot go further. Please accept it. I know some people ego is also hurted. No, sir. Oh, I thought JDBC is great, Hibernate great. Now you are saying something else. All are great. In different situation, different things will be utilized. The people who came to Hibernate by assuming, okay, the people who came to Hibernate by assuming JDBC outdated, first accept the fact. Without JDBC, there is no Hibernate, there is no Spring JDBC, there is no Spring ORM, there is no Spring data. JDBC is the base for everything. JDBC is the base for everything. In different situation, we use different things. I'll give one more conclusion discussion. Don't worry. Next discussion is that only. When to use what? Okay, boss. CURD operations. Regularly used. Okay, application specific logic. Nothing but CURD operations persistence logic. CURD operation persistence logic. Use Spring data, which takes care of both common logics and come on, common logics and application specific logics. Now listen here. Spring data submodules. Spring data submodules are there. Spring data submodules are there. Number one, Spring data JDBC. Spring data JDBC generates common logics and specific logics by using JDBC internally. Common logic and specific logic by using JDBC internally. So, JDBC knowledge is required here. Knowledge is required here. Next, Spring data JPA. Spring data JPA. Generates, come on, generate common logics and specific logics by using ORM framework internally. ORM framework internally. Nothing but Hibernate. So Hibernate knowledge is required here. What knowledge is required here? Hibernate knowledge is required here. Come on, boss. Are you accepting the fact or not? Okay, next. Spring data MongoDB. What is this? Mongo, not mango, MongoDB. Yeah, now listen. I have to talk about this is called NoSQL database. This is what? NoSQL database. Are you understanding my point there? Yes. I have to spend 1-2 minutes on it before talking about. These are there to deal with SQL database softwares. No doubt. These to talk with SQL DB, Oracle, MySQL or SQL databases. Oracle, MySQL or SQL databases. Come on. Nowadays, database are two types here. SQL, NoSQL. SQL means where we can use SQL language, that is called SQL. NoSQL means MongoDB, Firebase, Cassandra. So many things are there. Okay. So they are there to interact with what? Okay, NoSQL database software. They are NoSQL database software. Sir, we are happy with SQL database softwares. Na? Why should I entertain these NoSQL database software? Give me one reason. When I launch module, I will give more clarity there. I will give more clarity there. Everyone, please concentrate. Suppose I have employee table, SQL database employee table. 30 columns are there. First employee, all 30 details are there. Second employee is having 10 details. But still I have to maintain 30 columns for him or not. Come on, boss. Third employee is having only 15 details. Still I have to maintain 30 columns for him or not. While retrieving, while inserting, I have to I have to use memory for 30 columns or not. Come on, my dears. Come on, my dears. Waste of memory, waste of CPU time, lot of wastages there are not there. To address this one, we got NoSQL database software. Use that memory that is required. First employee 30 details, use complete 30 details memory. Second employee only 10 details, use only 10 details memory. Don't waste memory for remaining 20 properties. Fourth employee 15 details, use memory for 15 properties, not for what? All the 30 properties. How much needed? That much only. How much needed? That much only. It's something like this here. You are staying alone. Your owner said that you are staying alone. Stay in this room. I will give remaining room for rental. You pay room for one room only. All of a sudden, family came. Okay, then you started using all the 3 rooms. Then he said, okay, pay rent for another 2 rooms also. If that flexibility is given, you will be more happy or not. No, you are staying or not, you are using or not. Okay, you have to pay rent for everything means what? Is it going to work out? Is it going to work out? Is it going to work out? Are you understanding? Earlier with NoSQL, with SQL database software, that was the problem. Table is having 30 columns means if 30 columns are used or not used, but every record will allocate the memory for 30 columns. Will occupy the memory that is required for 30 columns. Yes or no? Na? So lot of memory wastage, lot of CPU time wastage is happening. So when they're happening means definitely reflects in application development also. That definitely solidly reflects in what? Application development also. What do you say, boss? No doubt in that. To overcome these problems, we have come up with what? NoSQL database software. We have a lot of NoSQL database softwares here. Okay. So Spring Data MongoDB generates common logics and specific logic required for MongoDB database software. Required for MongoDB database software. Yes, in Spring Data, listen. In Spring Data, I'm going to teach all the 3 flavors. Spring Data JDBC, Spring Data JPA, Spring Data MongoDB. Okay, I'm going to teach all the 3 flavors in depth, please. Okay, fine. DynamoDB also comes under what? Spring Day. What is that? NoSQL database only. There are so many NoSQL databases here, Bob. Cassandra is there, Firebase is there, Neo4j is there. Okay, there are so many things are there. No, so many things are there. Fine, right. So generates common logics and specific logics required for interacting with already one morning spring batch is started 7 a.m. If you are looking for next new batch in the evening hours, you have to wait 1.5 months easily. Okay, interacting with MongoDB database software. Where to send ID card for Hibernate? Our people will come. Don't worry. Don't excite, man. When our people approaches you, please submit. Okay, fine. Yes, boss. Next we have a lot of sub modules here, boss. Spring Data Neo4j. This is one more kind of Neo4j. Next we have Spring Data Neo4j. Spring Data Cassandra. Cassandra. Like this, we have a lot of submodules. Okay. Like this, lot of submodules are there. I think you got thorough knowledge when to use what. Project is, yes. When you are not happy with SQL, you have a huge amount of data, projects are big, so you don't want to waste the memory, then you go for what? NoSQL database software. To talk with different NoSQL database softwares, we are having different submodules in Spring Data. Are you getting my point there? Array Spring ORM just focus on ORM framework abstraction. Spring Data provides abstraction on JDBC, Spring Data JPA, Spring Data MongoDB, Spring Data Neo4j, Spring Data Cassandra. It's a huge module compared to Spring ORM. Spring ORM just provides abstraction on. Okay. Spring ORM just provides abstraction on. Are you understanding my point there? Spring ORM just provides abstraction on ORM framework, but Spring Data is more bigger than that. And if my guess is right, down the line after 5 years, okay, people slowly forgets about Spring JDBC and Spring ORM, and everyone starts working with what? Spring Data only, because it is taking care of common logics and specific logics. Future is Spring Data, no doubt in that. But if you want to understand Spring Data completely, you should have plain JDBC knowledge and okay, plain Hibernate knowledge. Sorry, boss. For our application development, we don't need Cassandra and Neo4j. I'm just writing some names to tell that how big it is. But I'm going to cover MongoDB. Definitely, I'm going to cover MongoDB. Fine. Everyone enjoyed today's discussion? Everyone enjoyed today's discussion? At least you got a clarity? At least you have a reason to learn Hibernate depth? Because if you learn Hibernate JDBC depth, then only you will enjoy what? Spring Data. Otherwise, you cannot survive in the Spring Data. That's it. And there are some companies who still uses plain JDBC, plain Hibernate, but old maintenance projects, old projects. Okay, old projects. In old projects, we'll go for it. Right? Fine, boss. Yes. Okay, final conclusion. Offline or online application. Offline or online application. Huge amount of data that comes batch by batch. Go for JDBC, not the Hibernate. Okay, reverse Hibernate, so that we can enjoy other features of Hibernate like what? Timestamping, versioning, and etc. etc. Are you getting my point there? But nowadays, instead of using them plain JDBC directly, Spring JDBC. Instead of using plain Hibernate directly, Spring ORM. Okay, but we got Babka Bob. Okay, instead of using Spring ORM and what? Spring JDBC, we got what? Spring Data, which says I will take care of both common logics and application specific logics. Understanding my point there? Yes, in the flow we got that word Babka Bob. Fine. Right. Enjoyed my point. No, big data is nowhere related to JDBC because big data never talks to database softwares. Big data never talks with database softwares. That's why big data does not use JDBC internally. So database softwares, nodes. I'm already giving now. I will share this one, boss, Mr. Venu. SQL, NoSQL. Here is SQL database softwares. Here, NoSQL database softwares. Okay, right. What are the examples? Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and etc. Hey, NoSQL also categories are there. Today you don't worry. MongoDB, MongoDB, MongoDB. Yeah, please look at someone asked for Google form of Hibernate. You got it. MongoDB, Cassandra, Neo4j, and etc. Okay. This is for structured data. This is for structured data. This is for unstructured data. Unstructured data. Fine. Yes, the relevant PDFs I will share. The relevant PDF I will share in the middle of the course, as I shared in the design pattern. As I shared in the design pattern. Okay? Right. Fine. Now I want to take from FAQs 5 to 10 minutes. Now you fire me. You shoot me with all technical, non-technical question, but one by one, one by one. In 20 days, yes, definitely. In 20 plus days only, in 15 days only, Spring ORM will be started in the evening classes. Right. Class over. From my side over. Now I am taking questions. Bangalore Hibernate common for all type of interview. They will ask 6-7 questions on every one should know it. Yes, definitely. Definitely. That's why we are learning here. If you try to show 2-3 years gap as experience, in-depth knowledge of database software required or not required. If they're added advantage, if not, they're not a problem. Actors playing different character. Please explain in detail, could not understand. Mr. Realme 3i, for you only have explained. See boss, one object first can play the role of insert. After that, same object can be used for selection. Same object can be used for deletion. Same object can be used for retrieving record. So object is one, but playing 4 operation. So object is nothing but the actor, and inserting record, deleting record, retrieving record. All these are the characters it is playing. Characters it is playing. Okay. How is given Spring Data? I didn't understand your question. Okay, sir, please explain Spring Data JDBC versus Spring JDBC. Spring JDBC, which generates only common logics dynamically. Application specific logic, writing SQL queries, still we have to take care. In Spring Data JDBC, both common logics and specific logics will be taken care by Spring JDBC itself. I said now if I have a 500 tables related boilerplate code, it anyhow it will generate. Along with that, it will generate insert, update, delete, select related persistence logic also. How much fee for Hibernate? 2,000 rupees. When we use SQL software, when we use NoSQL, when you have a structured data, go for SQL. When you have a unstructured data, okay, when you have a unstructured data, go for NoSQL. Structured data, just now I have explained. All the times you are able to give 30 details. And only 30 details will be there. Second time 31, third time 34, fourth time 50 details will not be there. Then go for what? That is called structured data. Unstructured data means one time 3 details, one time 20 details, one time 50 details. That is called unstructured data. For example, employee 20 details, and every time within 20 only will be there, structured. Sometime 25, sometime 30, sometime 3, sometime 4, sometime 20. Then it is called unstructured data. Don't put same question again. Spring Data module is part of Spring Boot course. Is part of Spring Boot course, also part of this one. Who has given Spring Data? Spring people only have given. What motivates you to take a lot of classes in single day? Nothing is there. Sharing is caring. Why Hibernate people not given huge number of data and it will these things? See, boss, if you want to enjoy OR mapping, object mapping with table rows is compulsory. With that, we cannot work with huge amount of data. What is level 1, level 2, level 3 companies? I think I cannot take that question now. Okay, you mail me, I will answer. There are different levels. Size are based on the size of the company, the levels will be decided. With the ecosystem of Hibernate programming, we cannot enjoy this. Sir, I really don't know what is Google Dialogflow. Okay, right. What is the current version of Hibernate? 5.x is running, 6.x also released as a beta version. Okay, whether you are eligible for Hibernate or not, whether Hibernate is there in package or not, please talk to Srikanth sir once. Resume preparation session we are planning. Yes, we are going to see 5.x and 6.x in our course. Okay, which topics are completed 6 p.m.? Core is completed, Spring JDBC completed, AOP is going on. Sir, big data itself one kind of database software, Sir Babu. Big data itself, right? Yeah. In 7 a.m. Spring, I am going to cover Spring Boot also. No problem. With this knowledge of 20 days, can we understand Spring ORM? Yes, you can understand. No problem. Drawbacks of JDBC. Please watch last class discussion. I think I have given 15 plus difference problems with the JDBC. In Spring Data, which kind of work going on? Nothing is there. It will repository pattern is there to generate both common logics and specific logics. Industry standard right now, Spring Data is going on in maintenance projects. Spring JDBC and Spring ORM is going on. In some small projects, plain Hibernate and plain JDBC also going on. Natraz Java Arena is the group. Natraz Java Arena is the group. And that is a private group. You have to. Okay, private. First complete the courses, then we can think about how to explain the projects. Madam Ruchita, without having technical knowledge, I cannot talk about how to explain the projects. Okay, first gain the knowledge. At the end of the course, I will talk on that. Okay, freshers. Sir, see boss, data structure algorithm is optional unless until you are not targeting Amazon, Flipkart, and Google kind of companies. If you are concentrating on other company, data structure algorithms are purely optional. Okay, after 20 days, I will call you for evening classes parallelly. Is not alternate. Spring Data is developed on the top of JDBC, Hibernate, and etc. etc. We cannot say alternate. As part of our course, minimum 3-4 mini projects will be discussed. Or every 10-15 days, one or other mini projects will be discussed. In spring, more and more. In spring, more and more. Thank you. Have a nice time. We'll meet tomorrow. Tomorrow onwards, Spring Data will be covered in Spring course, not in Hibernate. Not in Hibernate. It's a purely Hibernate. It's a purely Hibernate session. Achha, someone asked my group name. It's a private group. Natraz Java Arena is my FB group. Natraz Java Arena at gmail.com. Gmail.com. You send request to, please remember, you send request to my group when still GitHub is not created. Once created, I will let you know. You send request to my group. When you are member of my group, then only you can see this. When you are member of the group, then only you can see Then only you can see my content. So first become member of the group, then you will get the content, everyday content. Thank you. Have a nice time. By afternoon, I'll upload the content. Don't worry. Thank you. Thank you.